This is Stephen Rhodes at Breakfast.
But first of all this morning, people in Letchworth have voted overwhelmingly to abolish the town council. At the same time, they voted to make the Heritage Foundation democratic. Now, Nigel Jury is from the campaign group Help Eliminate Letchworth Parish Council. Good morning, Nigel.
Good morning, Stephen.
You must be delighted with the result of the vote.
We are indeed.
Which vote?
Well, we're actually pleased with both of them because the people of Letchworth were given the opportunity to answer two quite different questions, and they did. A low turnout, 15.5%, but quite decisive results on both questions.
There will be somebody who might be opposed to the outcome who will be saying, well, it's not very democratic, a turnout as low as just over 15%.
They will, but then democracy is what democracy does, isn't it? What the people actually vote for. We got the 76% of the vote of that 15%, and we think that's a pretty clear-cut victory for those people who believe, as we do, that the council have not proved their worth in their 3 years.
Now, the funny thing about this old vote is that it's not going to make one jot of difference, is it?
You're absolutely right. As we discussed before, this at best is an advisory poll. Some people would sneer at it and call it an opinion poll. But we're clear. When we'll be going as individuals to the council meeting on Wednesday evening, and we'll ask them what they're going to do about the result.
And will you be pushing for them to resign, even though you think it's not very likely?
We think it's not very likely. We'll be inviting them to resign, but it's not really our place, and I don't think it's anybody's place. It's a matter of their own conscience.
Now, I gathered at the outset of all of this, Nigel, that you weren't particularly keen about the question about the Heritage Foundation being asked.
Well, we saw it as a way of obscuring the question we were asking, but after the injunction failed, we were quite happy to sit alongside it. And we turned up.
Sorry, what do you mean after the injunction failed?
Well, as you remember in our last conversation, the Heritage put up an injunction to attempt to stop the question regarding themselves being asked. This failed, and therefore properly the District Council asked both questions in the ballot last night.
No, but if it had been upheld, you're saying then what you would have gone with Mr. Justice Owen's view, that the question should not have been asked to the Heritage Foundation.
Well, as I say, that wasn't our decision, nor it was our question. So we sat, if you like, as uncomfortable bedfellows with it. But
now that the question has been asked, do you think there is any likelihood that the Heritage Foundation will become any more democratic?
Well, as we've agreed with our own results, it is purely advisory, and I think the same thing must be said of the 2-to-1 majority that the question askers got.
Would you, in an ideal situation, like to see the Heritage Foundation, those non-elected members, which of course form the majority, would you like to see them resign and then stand for election?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think tinkering at one position in the Heritage position is enough to make them change. We do believe...
No, I'm just asking you, would you, in an ideal situation, like to see them resign and stand for election?
They do resign and are regularly replaced, those 6, or is it 16, that get elected?
6.
Well...
Merely 6 are elected and the rest are not elected.
Well, can I just pick or split a hair with you there, Stephen, because 6, as you correctly say, are directly elected, so ordinary folks like myself can vote for them when the election comes. Another 10 are actually elected by people in the city who already are part of an interest group, so the Citizens Advice Bureau and others will have a say in electing one of their folk, which is not quite the same as direct election, but at the same time it's not a Heritage appointee.
But I gather there's 30 members of the foundation.
Sorry?
30 members of the foundation? And 6 of them elected.
Yes, 30 governors of various types. It is a very complicated picture, I'll agree.
Yeah. So, you see, what about those that would say, I would like to see, let's lose the town council, we don't need both, but I would like to see the Heritage Foundation elected. And that seems to be what's come out of this vote.
Indeed it does. Or you won't have time to read the entire question on your programme, but it was a very long question regarding the entire management board. I don't see how an industrial and provident society can be entirely run by elected people. It doesn't make much sense.
How accountable should these people be?
Well, they are accountable within the laws that they work in at the moment. What you're really saying is how accountable to the local people should they be?
Yes.
And even before
the people they purport to serve.
Exactly so. Before the question was asked, there was a general feeling, and I shared it, and our website shows that we too feel that it's not just the Heritage on their own, but the Heritage and the District Council have got to learn better ways of cooperating with each other to simplify life for we residents.
I'm a tad perplexed, Nigel, that you'd be quite happy to see the end of the parish council or the town council, but you wouldn't like to necessarily see the foundation be democratically elected.
Well, because I think it would emasculate it. The Heritage at the moment, for all its faults, put £3 million back into the town last year. The council, the city council...
So what do you mean it put £3 million back into the town?
Its earnings, I don't know the exact figures, but its earnings were roughly £11 million income from its various income sources, of which just over 3 were put back into various forms of Letchworth...
and what happened to the other £8 million?
I don't know.
It's there for the people of Letchworth, isn't it, the whole thing?
Well, it's there to pay the administration and all the other things that the Heritage do.
Yeah.
But the end of my thought was, at least they're putting money into the town. The council that we wish to ban can only be seen to be taking it from the town.
Right. I'm not quite with you on the logic of that. I mean, we are going to be talking to the town council a little later on in the programme, but sadly the Heritage Foundation have refused to come on the programme this morning.
Well, that is a pity.
It is a great pity.
Would you ask the council mayor and his assistant why they didn't bother to come to the vote last night?
I will.
Good.
And will you ask the Heritage Foundation why they didn't bother to put somebody up in this programme?
I will do that for you. I have no power or...
Nobody seems to have much power over them because they're not democratically elected for the most part. They can choose to do as they will.
Well, I think
because they are not accountable to the people they purport to serve, apart from 6 members of a 30-strong foundation.
Yes.
And in this day and age, I thought democracy was the way forward.
Well, how many people are elected in BBC Three Counties Radio? And you serve the people.
Thank you, Nigel.
You don't want to answer that?
Well, no, we're not democratically elected. We don't stand for election.
But then nor do the Heritage. But they must be roughly equal in kind. Well, my point is that democracy itself doesn't ensure effectiveness. And what we want is an effective Heritage Foundation in the same way as we want effective district council.
So what you suggest is that we should elect the management here at BBC Three Counties.
No,
they should stand for election.
No, I'm saying
we don't collect money locally. We don't distribute money locally. That's not.
No, I understand.
We don't purport to serve the people of Letchworth in the same way the Heritage Foundation do.
Well, yes, you do.
No, we don't purport to serve the people of Letchworth in the same way the Heritage Foundation do. We don't manage. We don't say whether shopkeepers can keep their businesses or not. We don't take away businesses and then perhaps maybe create a situation where it's very difficult for some shopkeepers to operate. We don't deal in that way.
But then, do you think a landlord could be constituted by purely elected people?
What is the foundation set up for?
It is set up as an industrial and provident society, a charitable status company.
Yes.
Because it is limited and it's operating on law, and it's set up, as you've already said, to benefit the people of Letchworth through the management of its estate. And I think they believe they're doing a pretty good job of that. I don't believe that a better job will be done by replacing the entire management structure by elected people.
And what is Mr. Stuart Kenny's job?
He's a Director General. He's the MD of the outfit, the Managing Director.
And broadly speaking, his job would be to...
further the aims of that company, which are to benefit the people.
Serve the aims of the foundation?
Yes.
It's not
well, sorry, okay. Yes,
it's not a company as such like that. It's not like ICI. It's there for the benefit of the people of Letchworth Garden City, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Nigel, Jury, thank you very much for joining us on the programme.